My name is Eleanor Mae Thompson, and I've lived on this little street in Maplewood, Ohio for more than 60 years. From this porch, I've watched the world change. Children grow, cars get faster, and neighbors come and go. But some things, like the sound of crickets at dusk or the way the wind smells after rain, never seem to change. I often sit here with my cup of tea, staring at the old oak tree across the street, and I think about the life I've lived, the laughter, the tears, the years that slipped by like pages in a book I never meant to finish. I was born in 1943, back when the world was loud with war, but our small town stayed gentle. My father worked at the local mill, and Mama kept the house smelling of cornbread and fresh laundry. We didn't have much, but we had each other, and that was enough. I remember walking home from school with my best friend, Mary Lou, our books pressed to our chests, and our heads full of dreams. Life seemed so simple then. No cell phones, no screens, just front porches, Sunday church bells, and the sound of laughter echoing down dirt roads. I met Frank when I was 16. He was new in town, tall and shy with the kind of smile that could quiet your heart. He worked at his uncle's hardware store and used to stop by our house pretending he needed to borrow tools from my father. I'd sit on this very porch, pretending to read, waiting for his shadow to fall across the steps. We married young, too young, Mama said, but love was different back then. It wasn't measured in money or success. It was built on long walks, shared milkshakes, and promises whispered under starlight. Our first home was a tiny rented house by the railroad tracks. The walls were thin, and when the trains passed, the dishes rattled in the cupboards. But I loved it. We had each other, and we believed that was enough. Frank worked long hours, and I took in sewing to make ends meet. At night, we'd sit by the radio, listening to the news, holding hands, dreaming about the future. We didn't have much, but somehow it felt like we had everything. When our first child, Lucy, was born, the world became brighter. I still remember the day we brought her home. The air smelled of lilacs, and the neighbors came by with casseroles and smiles. Frank built a cradle with his own hands. It wasn't perfect, but it rocked gently like his love for us, steady, patient, and true. Then came David, our boy with a laugh that could fill the whole house. Life was busy, noisy, and full. I barely had time to think, but I was happy. Really, truly happy. The years rolled by, like they always do. Frank got a job at the factory, and I joined the PTA. We went to church every Sunday, hosted summer picnics, and watched fireworks every 4th of July from this same porch. The world outside was changing. Televisions, then color TV, then computers. But our little town stayed kind. There was always someone to wave at, someone to bring a pie when you were sick, someone to lend a hand when you needed one. Then one day, the factory closed. I still remembered the way Frank sat quietly at the dinner table, his hands trembling just a little. It was the first time I saw fear in his eyes. Times were hard after that. We sold our second car, cut back on groceries, and did what we could. But we stayed strong. That's what families did. That's what love meant. Holding on when everything else was slipping away. Eventually, Frank found work again, and things got better. Lucy grew up, went to nursing school, and moved to Chicago. David joined the Navy. He said he wanted to see the world. I was proud, but afraid. The house felt emptier without their voices, without the sound of slamming doors and teenage arguments. I kept the porch light on every night just in case one of them decided to come home. Years later, Lucy married a good man, and they had children of their own. I became Grandma Ellie, the woman with peppermint candies in her purse and stories that started with, "When I was your age." The grandkids would visit in the summers, running barefoot through the grass, chasing fireflies. Frank would sit on the porch swing with one of them in his lap, singing old country songs. Those were golden years, slow, warm, filled with laughter and love. But life, as I've learned, has a way of changing the tune when you least expect it. One morning, Frank didn't wake up. It was a quiet passing, just him, me, and the sunrise. I remember holding his hand, whispering, "It's okay, love, you can rest now." After the funeral, everyone went home, and for the first time in my life, the house was silent. Too silent. I'd sit on this porch and listen for his footsteps, his voice calling my name, but all I heard was the wind. For a long time, I didn't know what to do. I kept making 2 cups of tea out of habit. I'd set one by his chair, then stare at it until it got cold. Grief is strange. It doesn't come all at once. It creeps in slowly, like the evening fog. But somehow, life goes on. The mail keeps coming, the seasons keep changing, and one day you wake up and the birds are singing again, and you realize you're still here. Over the years, neighbors changed, houses got sold, children grew up. The town built a new highway, and the old grocery store turned into a coffee shop. I see people rushing now, always in a hurry, faces lit by phone screens. Sometimes they forget to look up, to notice the sunsets or the smell of rain on hot pavement. I suppose that's just how life is now. But I still sit on my porch every evening, tea in hand, watching the world spin. My granddaughter Anna visits me every Sunday. She says she loves hearing my stories, even though she's heard them all before. She says the world feels different when I talk about it, slower, softer, kinder. Maybe that's my gift. Maybe that's why I'm still here, to remind people that love doesn't disappear, it just changes shape. A few years ago, I almost moved to a retirement home, but when the moving truck came, I couldn't do it. I looked at the porch light, the same one Frank installed 50 years ago, and I thought, no, not yet. That light has been my beacon. It's burned through storms, through nights of laughter and nights of tears. It's the same light I left on for my kids, for Frank, for anyone who needed to find their way home. So I stayed, and every night I turn that porch light on before I go to bed. Sometimes people passing by slow down, maybe wondering why an old woman keeps her light on so late. But it's not for me. It's for them, for anyone lost, tired, or lonely. Maybe they'll see it and feel a little less alone. Maybe they'll remember someone who once waited for them too. And when my time comes, I hope they'll keep the light burning. Maybe Anna will move into this house one day. Maybe she'll sit on this same porch, tell her children about me, about Frank, about the way the world used to be. And maybe, just maybe, she'll leave the light on too. Because love, real love, never goes out. It flickers, it fades, it bends with the wind, but it never truly dies. Like that little porch light, it keeps shining, guiding hearts home through the darkest nights.